Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 must-reads, essential buys, the graphic novels I'm recommending for the month of November of 2024. So let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. It's really strange having just top 10 again instead of having to add extra fingers to my hands on the thumbnails. But hey, here we are with 10 of the books that I'm recommending for the month of November. And before I go any further, please don't forget to smash that like button. It goes a long way for us here on the channel. And also, don't forget to check us out on Patreon and Spreadshop, where you can get stickers like this. That's a great way to support the channel if you can do so. And a big thank you to our patrons for making videos like this possible. Alright, 10 books, 4 weeks. And I do these in chronological order. There's no countdown. There's not one that stands above the rest. But let's go ahead and take a look at this list together. And let me know what you think of the list or what your top 5, top 10 would be. DC's finest, Batman, Year 1 and 2, together for the first time, collecting issues of Batman 404 to 414, Batman Annual 11, and Detective Comics 571 to 581. This is a huge release. This is something that I have been craving DC to do for decades. But I wanted it in omnibus format, but this is a phenomenal start. It doesn't have to be in hardcover or in oversized format for me to enjoy a collected edition. I think this is the jumping on point for Batman. It starts off, of course, with the Magpie story and a couple of other stories from Batman, and then it gets into Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli's Year 1, and that's the origin of Batman. To this day, it is still the origin of Batman. But the fact that they have Year 1 and Year 2 in the same book is just insane. That's never happened before. And I know how people have strong feelings about Year 2. I happen to love it. I understand why it's not for everybody. It's very divisive. But I always like to stress the fact that without Year 2, there would be no Mask of the Phantasm, which is the greatest Batman movie ever, at least in my opinion. This book is $39.99 too, and 632 pages. Take advantage of that price point for that many page count, man. That's crazy. I don't know if it's going to be the entry point for these books or if they're going to keep that price point, but for 632 pages and with that satin type, I don't know why I did that, that satin type of paper stock they're using, that is one hell of a deal. And it's got some of the best Batman stories in here. I mean, you have stuff in here from Mike W. Barr, Alan Davis, Todd McFarlane, Frank Miller, David Mazzucchelli, Max Allan Collins, Norm Brayfogle, just to name a few of the creators on the book. And it's just insane that all of it is now collected in one trade paperback. And speaking of trade paperback, the next book I'm going to suggest is The Goon, a bunch of old crap omnibus volume 1. The stories that are found in here from Eric Powell have been out of print for a long time. You have the rough stuff, you have Nothing But Misery, you have My Murderous Childhood, and Heaps of Ruination. This is 496 pages and $34.99. Now, people always ask me, wait a minute, how can Marvel and DC charge so much for a collection, yet Dark Horse and Image charge so little? And a lot of that has to do with licensing and the characters and, of course, the contracts and how that was broken down. And I'm not one to speak on exactly how that is broken down because I wasn't there when contracts were made, nor do I know how much of a percentage people get for writing, drawing, and things like that. But when you're a creator and you bring your book to Image and Dark Horse, profit margins are better there. And also you can try to make the price yourself of the book. And that's why something like this that almost has 500 pages is $34.99. But if you've not read The Goon, it's a lot of fun with that dash of pulpy hero stories in there and horror, because there are a lot of horror elements in here. And it follows these two characters on Lonely Street, the Goon and his sidekick, who you see on the cover there, Frankie, how they end up defending this neighborhood against supernatural forces and also just crime lords. It's a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that they will collect all of it in chronological order in the way that it was released. Even the stuff that he did over at his own, what was it, Albatross Press, I think is what he was uh, publishing under. But all of it one day. And who knows? Maybe one day we'll get like a library edition because this art is just wonderful. Next up is Woods, the deluxe edition or the slipcase edition. Doesn't matter which one you get. To me, this is a phenomenal series that, well, okay, I stand corrected. But let me just rephrase that. I have only read the first trade paperback and I was hooked. It reminded me of A Drifting Classroom meets Lord of the Flies, because what it is in 2013, a high school in Milwaukee gets transported to another world. I don't want to tell you where this world is, but I don't want to tell you because I can't remember exactly. But it's not here. It might be another dimension. It might be the future. It might be here on Earth somewhere, or it might be out in space somewhere. But these students have to come together when they find themselves in this strange surroundings where it's like ancient and like you got this wilderness that is no longer the high school. So you'll see some people just joining other sides, betraying each other. Again, that whole Lord of the Flies element to it. This has all 36 issues collected in one book. It is a little pricier than all the other deluxe editions and slipcase editions that Boom has released as of now. The hardcover, the deluxe edition, is $89.99, and the slipcase is $115. The deluxe is just pretty much, the book that is in the slipcase, so you're paying just a little bit more for that slipcase. But yes, this is all by James Tynion IV and Michael Dialinas, and Dan Morris applying the cover art. But absolutely, I was hooked, so maybe you will be too. Now, I mentioned this when I was going over the books that are coming out this month, but Fantagraphics is releasing the complete Irene Tardy, POW, and this is Jacques Tardy's father when he was a soldier during World War II, and he was a French tankman that got captured and sent to a POW camp in 1940, where it forever changed his life. And this is his endurers day by day, and it's just how he ends up on his journey back to France. So if you've never read any of Tardy's war books, I strongly recommend reading them. They are true to life, like these things really happened. So there's a lot of violence and a lot of things that, it's not for everybody. People love reading comics or graphic novels to forget about real life. But when you bring in real life violence, there are some people that can't stomach that, and I completely respect that, so it may not be for you. But this is a graphic novel trilogy that has The Prisoner of War, and it also has My Return Home and After the War. All three in this particular slipcase edition, and again, published by Fantagraphics. And it is $99.99, and they are in hardcover format. This book was supposed to show up last month, but it was delayed until November 13th. And that is Creepshow, the deluxe edition hardcover book 1, collecting volume 1 of Creepshow 1 through 5 and Creepshow volume 2 1 through 5. I love horror. I love anthology series. And this was a lot of fun. I got to read the first 2 trade paperbacks, so yeah, pretty much what this is going to contain. You've got stories in here from Paul Dini, Garth Ennis, Kyle Starks, Zoe Thurgood, Chris Burnham, Michael Walsh, Dan Waters, Nick Dragotta, Becky Cloonan, and Matthew Roberts, and also Erica Henderson, just to name a few of the creators. That talent is just all over this book. So each issue is one story, one standalone story, and you do have the Crypt Keeper kind of being your host again. Crypt Keeper, sorry, that's Tales from the Crypt. The Creeper being your host of these particular stories. So this is, of course, inspired by the movies, which then again was inspired by the EC Comics lines of Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt, and Haunt of Fear. But now we are getting a new... I wish we would get more and more horror anthologies. I love them because, to me, they're... If you like horror, of course. To me, they're palate cleansers, right? In between a heavy read, especially something from the Silver Age. For me, anyway. The next book, not Silver Age, but... no. I think this is considered Modern Age. Fantastic Four Omnibus Volume 5. So, of course, I'm recommending Marvel's First Family, the world's greatest comic magazine. And what I find interesting about this, by the way, this collects issues 126 to 163, Giant Size Superstars #1, Giant Size Fantastic Four 2 to 4, and then Avengers 127. What I find interesting about this Roy Thomas, Jerry Conway, Rich Buckler, and John Buscema era is that a lot of people did not like this era. I always think maybe people should judge books for themselves. I happen to have a lot of fun with this one, but it is regarded as one of not the greatest eras, and that is because it was after Stan Lee and Jack Kirby left the book. And people felt like, oh, Roy Thomas and Jerry Conway are just reusing storylines from Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. And I can kind of see that, going back and rereading them in omnibus format. I can kind of see when people were complaining about that. But for me, I really enjoyed the stories. I thought they were cool. I like Agatha Harkness, who's a lot different than the Agatha all along. I will say that. I like what ends up happening to Franklin Richards with the whole Annihilus storyline, but you're also going to see the return of Namor, Silver Surfer making an appearance here, and then, of course, the Frightful Four. Both covers available the same day. And what's a Fantastic Four story without Doctor Doom? Absolute justice. If you missed out on it the first time around and you're a fan of Alex Ross's beautiful painted artwork, don't miss out on it this time around. I want to say the first printing was $100. This time around it's $125. 496 pages, collecting Justice 1 through 12. It is written by Jim Krueger and Alex Ross. And I will say it's not just Alex Ross's painted artwork in here, because it's Doug Braithwaite that Alex Ross paints over. So you've got his pencils and Alex Ross, and both of them working together. But I still love this story. I I love the title Justice, and I get it why they're using it when you're talking about the Justice League. But this really feels like an injustice storyline, because this is the coming together of a bunch of supervillains that are like, getting tired of getting my butt kicked by the Justice League. How about we team up and beat the living crap out of the Justice League together? And that's how this happens. And oh man, there are some awesome badass moments in here that if you haven't read, I hope you get as excited as I was when reading it for the first time. And to me, this is a book that definitely belongs in an absolute format. It's beautiful artwork. And next up is another DC book, JSA Compendium, another one of my personal favorites. I love this era of JSA. This is the James Robinson era, and I know, he wasn't alone. He was David Goyer, of course, helping him along the way. Joe Kelly doing some of the stuff, and then, of course, Jeff Johns taking over. But this mapping is, actually, it's a little insane. Adventure Comics 1, All-Star Comics 1 and 2, All-American Comics 1, Day of Judgment 1 through 5, Day of Judgment Secret Files 1, Our Man 9 and 18, JSA 1 through 25, JSA Annual 1, JSA Secret Files 1, JSA Darkness Falls 1, JSA Justice Be Done 1, The Return of Hawkman 1, Martian Manhunter 18 through 19, National Comics 1, Secret Files and Origins Guide to the DCU 2001, Sensation Comics 1, Sins of Youth, Star Woman and the JSA 1, Smash Comics, Star Spangled Comics, Stars and Stripes 8 through 9, Superman 172, Golden Age Secret Files 1, Thrilling Comics 1, Young Justice 16, Young Justice Sins of Youth 1 and 2, and Young Justice Sins of Youth Secret Files 1. 1,420 pages, $59.99. This already has more. It's got a lot more things in here besides the JSA that were not included in the omnibus format. Some of them I'm like, okay, yeah, the hell yeah. And some of them I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then some of them are like, what is that? What's that doing in here? But it's the JSA. It's the foundation. And oh my gosh, it's so good. It's my favorite Jeff Johns story. I love the JSA. I love what he does later on with it. But not only are you going to have the characters of Starman and Black Canary, Hawk Girl in here, Atom Smasher, Star Spangled Kid, Sandman, and Wildcat, but you're also going to have some characters like Green Lantern and the Flash make an appearance, but not the ones that you probably are thinking about. But, oh, I love the JSA. Desolation Jones Biohazard Edition hardcover. I had no idea this was coming out. This is by Warren Ellis and J.H. Williams III. This is a book that had come out, oh my gosh, years ago. There was a trade paperback release of it, and it's all about this character named Michael Jones, who was once a secret agent for the British intelligence, and then he had a procedure done where they kind of messed up his they messed him up physically and mentally, and now he is trying to survive in LA, where a lot of these spies end up going, like a lot of these broken spies end up going, and he's trying. The first story arc is so weird. He's trying to find the Adolf Hitler's, I think, was it his homemade porn movies? I can't remember if it's been a while since I've read it. If it's his homemade ones or if it was just his personal stash. Anyway, that's the first case he's on. But J.H. Williams III, my second favorite artist of all time, does the artwork in here, including the cover art too, with Jose Villarrubia doing a lot of the colors, and then you have Todd Klein doing the lettering. And this is a deluxe hardcover, $39.99. And the last book on that list for me this month is The Complete Harrow County, another book that would have been perfect for October, collecting all 32 issues of this wonderful, amazing series, and that just features this character named Emmy, who could be the reincarnation of this witch that was killed in this small town, and now she's having to live with the fact that maybe she could be the reincarnation, or perhaps the daughter or granddaughter or some kind of relation to this witch. But the painted artwork, those watercolors by Tyler Crook, are just mind-blowing. And Cullen Bunn can write some creepy things. And the design, I've done an overview of this already. I like the idea that it's like a cupboard, like it's a drawer in a chest of drawers, and there's the skin of the skinless boy. But if you haven't read it, and you were looking for the library editions, believe me, this is cheaper than the library edition that's out of print right now. This is 1,080 pages. It has everything those 4 library editions have. It doesn't have the Tales of Harrow County, but it has everything that the library editions of the original 32-issue Harrow County books have. $149.99. Now, if you're interested in any of the books I talked about, check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was my top 10 recommended reads, must-buys, or just books you need to check out in November of 2024. I would love to know what you're most excited for, what you want to read the most, what you're definitely going to buy, you're not going to miss out on, you've already pre-ordered. Leave that list down below. And let me know if you have any questions, thoughts, comments. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.